Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Spar and Brawl. I hope you're having a decent day. As always, I'm joined by my co-host Sam. We're back with a new episode of the Four Corners of Geopolitics. So we're going to start off with our geopolitics chit-chat, a little bit on Joe Rogan, a little small story on China trying to increase birth rates, and then also a very short follow-up to a South Africa story last week from those teenagers who just mysteriously died in a bar. Then we're going to move to our two relatively bigger stories. The first one is the UK. Sam must be very happy. Finally has a reason to talk about the UK. I'm curious about what the hell is going on. I mean, I've been following mainstream media a little bit, so I know all the big figures who have, left Boris Johnson and the Tories. But what really brought up this last round, I'm confused. So Sam's going to unpack that a bit. And then, as per usual, we have some stories concerning Iran. So please like and subscribe, and you can find timestamps down below. Okay, Sam, let's get right into this. I don't know if you have any small stories that you wanted to bring up. If not, I could get us started a bit.
No, go ahead.
So yeah, this one is funny. Joe Rogan is being covered ever widely that he refused to have Trump on, even though Trump had asked him for a few times. And I never asked him a few times if he could come on, or his team. And I never thought he would be this explicit about how he wouldn't want Trump on his, Trump coming on his show or him not liking Trump. I didn't know he didn't like him to this extent. Quote, "I'm not a Trump supporter in any way, shape, or form. I've had the opportunity to have him on my show more than once. I've said no every time. I don't want to help him. I'm not interested in helping him." I found it a bit interesting. He goes, yeah, so many people felt like they could abandon their own ethics and morals and principles just to attack him and anybody who supports him. But yeah, I didn't think that he hated Trump to this extent, actually, at all. I thought he was a bit more just like, I never thought he was a Trump fan or like, a Trumper, but I thought he wouldn't mind actually having him on the show and maybe like challenge him or something like that. Yeah, a bit surprised that he's so anti-Trump. Not that it's a bad thing, but
No, to be honest, I agree with this. I thought he would have the same sentiment, but I think the reason why he wouldn't have him on would be different because Trump would suck on, you know what I mean? Like you can't get a word in, and do you remember the Jordan Peterson interview we watched, the one that he had just come back from the ballet or something?
yeah, the latest one.
Yeah, the latest one. And in that one, you could see Rogan got frustrated with him, like changing the topics and, jumping around. And can you imagine, like with Trump, Jesus Christ, it's going to be 3 hours of him
he wouldn't
going
do
on
3 hours.
how in 80s, he used to sleep with all the, and I used to, because I own the pageants, I used to walk in and nobody would say anything. Like, oh my God.
Man.
Like I can't, like that was because I don't, like he says he doesn't want to have, I don't think if Trump goes on Joe Rogan, it helps Trump or Joe Rogan or anyone really. Like this idea that, by giving people airtime, we are helping them.
I don't know. Big platform. So a lot of people could see Joe Rogan could gain some new followers. He could lose some followers. So a lot of things could happen. Sure. But speaking of Trump and the 80s, like very small digression, not going to go far. But I've been watching a bit of Mad Men. Is anything in that show true? If it is true, it explains everything that goes on.
60s.
I haven't started Googling or anything. I know it's 60s, but like Trump was alive back then. So if you grew up during that time and everything, I kind of understand this kind of behavior.
Yeah,
I mean, it's absurd. I mean, there are two things we'll talk about that show tomorrow. I mean, the drinking, I didn't think it was possible to drink that much. I mean, alcoholics don't drink that much. I think they take it a bit too far in that. No, in that show, or everybody in the office are alcohol or full out alcoholics.
Yes, everybody was out. Man, have you seen all the sports? Like, say, old football matches. Like everybody's. It's like a joke compared to now because everybody was smoking and drinking.
But man, like, the amount that they were drinking, and the way they were acting towards women was insane.
I must say, it's really funny, man.
Is the show accurate? So nobody complains about the show being like inaccurate or something?
Well, no, it's very accurate, largely accurate.
I mean,
I
as
mean,
much as a show,
course,
of course, it's a show,
yeah,
but
it's a show, but I think the
no,
ending
you
is
can't
fucking
drink
great.
that much, man. Like, alcoholics would be like, bro, put the bottle down for 2 minutes and definitely put that cigarette away. Like, get a word out of your mouth
Yeah.
before you smoke a cigarette.
But I must say though, in Iran there is a huge problem of sexism and stuff. But this was something like that was one of the biggest cultural shocks to me when like teenagers and you as a teenager in UK and stuff, and you see that if like generally speaking though, I feel like sexualization of women is, I mean, I hate this like in the West, in the East, blah blah blah. But you definitely see shit that I could even like I couldn't believe is happening now. And the like the reaction you're having to men that you could treat women like that in a office. Like the first time I went to a club in, I think it was in Cambridge, I was shocked. I was genuinely shocked. I was like,
Why? What did you see?
like I had I
I mean, clubs
I
are
thought
weird,
before
man.
touching people you have to get consent.
You do though, kind of. Maybe
Well, didn't seem like that was the case a lot of time, and a
a
lot of
young
times,
Sam in a club in Cambridge.
yeah, I must have been like 16 or something, but I was trying. So because in Iran they do, like, you know what I mean. It's just not that often that you see. I don't know. I feel
Yeah, I
like
mean, clubs are like the most clubs. In some clubs, you see some of the more extreme stuff, and
not even clubs, man. Like the way
perhaps in the
sexual
UK, you see
harassment is
some of the
different.
craziest stuff in general compared to other. Maybe in the
No,
US or Canada, you wouldn't see that, but in the UK, I can see how
no,
one
here
can
it's
be shocked.
like here you see people talk about women as if they're stupid or
Mm,
something.
in Iran, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
They're these little children, women. Oh, they don't understand. Most jokes about women, they're stupid, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
But there, it seems whenever you did see like sexism, I guess it was much more like, piece of meat.
Mm-hmm.
It was much more sexually
Yeah.
charged. I felt always. I don't know.
True, true. Yeah, I see the difference that you're pointing out. But yeah, if there's any, and we haven't even touched on the alcohol thing, we can come back to that.
That's I think it's accurate. I've seen people like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I've seen like that even to this day. So back in the days, I assume there was less restriction. There was less. I know people to this day, man, that they hate their job and stuff, work in marketing and shit, and they take, they take vodka with them, and they constantly drink at their job and shit.
Surreal how much they drink in that
Yeah.
in that show. Now moving somewhere where they're just, whenever they make a decision, they're planning and stuff, it just kills me, the things that they try sometimes. So Chinese authorities are offering wedding payments to lure high quality babies. So they're not happy with because they're not happy with their birth rate, right? So they got rid of the one child
Okay.
policy, trying to encourage people as much as possible to have a marriage, to have kids and all this, but doesn't seem to be enough. So now, though not strictly a payment for childbearing, the northern Shaanxi province announced China's first marriage subsidy. The local government will, with the help of an app, pitch in on the cost of wedding photography, event details, honeymoon travel, and even cover 5% of the wedding dress.
Wow.
According to Six Stone, the government plans to pay out.
5% of the
Yeah, I know
wedding
that was
dress.
kind of
That's very.
that was kind of low. But yeah, they're not happy. China does not seem to be.
No, but read the title.
Yeah, Chinese authorities are offering wedding payments to lure high quality women babies. So I don't know how the high
High
quality.
quality. Yeah, how does that come into the like? No,
Let me
I'm
see.
sorry.
Oh, there
How
we
did
go.
you?
There we go. Here are the high quality woman. Letha Hung Fincher, author of Leftover Woman, The Resurgence of Gender Inequality in China, has written extensively about how China wants high quality women, those who are urbanized, educated, and young, to start families. So I guess it's trying to push not only rural people to have kids, but
I'm
also
sorry.
urban people to have.
That is so fucking condescending. Did they just call all the like?
Oh wow, look at this. Look at this.
High quality.
Meanwhile, new rules came into effect this month in the eastern province of Jiangsu, giving women the right to fetus protection leave in order to support national population plans. To try to prevent miscarriages, women who have a note from their doctor are able to take days off work in their first trimester and still receive 80% of local minimum pay, at least $250 a month. So yeah, the Chinese are concerned with their birth rate.
I love how in UK or in Iran when they're like they wanna look, we are worried about the birth rates, so we're gonna give you, if you get married, we're gonna give you 10% tax rebate if you buy a house. Like that's the extent we can do. In China, they're like, okay, we do the wedding planning, we book the site for you. We can't be. Who's the mother? The groom's mother is not happy. We talk. We send a representative. There's a representative.
Yeah, that's an important service.
These two people love each other. Please do not stand in the way of their love. Let them get, like Chinese government goes the full fucking 9 yards. Well done.
You.
Yeah, 5% of the wedding dress, 3% of the cutlery is used on the wedding night. The DJ comes with the government. Yeah. DJ is the government band approved DJ. Well, I mean, okay, well done. But the high quality women feels a bit.
Yeah, maybe that's a translation too, or something as well. So you know.
No, I mean,
yeah,
I'm
sure they framed it. They probably framed it in the worst way.
Yeah, it's probably shitty, man. High quality, man.
No, shitty and normal.
Yeah. Sorry, shitty. Normal, high quality.
Okay.
Super high quality.
But yeah.
Can you imagine looking into the love of your life? You know, I want to marry you. You truly fit all the criteria for a high quality one. You're educated. You have an income, right?
Yeah.
Oh man.
I know. And
China
finally,
is a fun place. Yeah.
My last story for the day, apparently, regarding those 21 students who went to a bar in South Africa and they all died mysteriously. Although they've had their funerals and everything, the toxicology report is yet to be concluded. But forensic pathologists have suggested their deaths were caused by something they inhaled or ingested. So these people went to a party and at a bar, and
so basically you don't have an update.
Yeah, don't have an update. But nobody has an update.
You can't do this. You can't just nothing new happened, by the way, on the case. The forensic psychologist still think.
That's an update, okay?
I thought, oh man, I thought they're buried, so how they're gonna be autopsied now if they're buried?
I don't know. Mass funeral.
What was the point of this segment?
I don't know, just to bring up this pretty crazy and horrible story.
I feel like you enjoy discussing this story for some weird reason, but okay.
No, I don't. I don't want to come off giving that impression. But yeah.
Well, okay. Any other any other stories? You know, of Alexander the Great is still dead. Still dead. Yeah.
No, that's it. I think that's all I have. So we can move on to our big stories, unless you have any small ones you want to mention. Bigger ones. Before we unpack what is happening to Boris Johnson.
Yeah. Before focusing on our usual two corners.
Maybe it's your sketch that brought him down. No, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but
preposterous.
Nonsense. You're shining city on the hill. Shining. Yeah. What the fuck are you talking about? So stupid. But yeah, what's going? Can someone tell me what's going on in Sudan? every day there is new, like military took over, but no, military was told they're not allowed to take over. And I'm like, since when military asks people? They're like, what is going? But listen to this. Sudan protesters, a skeptical military will step aside. Civilian blocs and resistant committees are rushing to build a new front to assume executive functions. Appearing on television late on Monday, Sudan's coup leader Abdel Fattah al-Burhan announced that the military would step aside and allow civilian forces to assume power, appearing to concede to the demands of the country's mass pro-democracy movement. But violence against demonstrators, along with reports that the military will continue to control Sudan's central bank and foreign policy, have supported widely held suspicions that the security forces have no intention of actually relinquishing power. And it seems to be that they're, by the way, connected to the old guy al-Bashir or something. This is the old guard, basically,
Wow.
back in. So I saw that, and I also saw and I was like, oh shit, bad for Sudan, very bad.
Yeah.
Hopefully everything will work out. But I also saw a very interesting article on BBC Persia. So I'm translating some of it. Apologies. It was a study done in number of Arab countries: Tunisia, Iraq, Lebanon. Sorry, let me see if I have it. Yes, Morocco, Jordan, Libya, and Palestinian areas. And in all the countries, in all these countries, except Morocco, in all these countries, above 50%, and in some cases above 70%, I can give you the details, all believe that democracy does not work and is not good for economy. I mean, I can tell you, let me try to, the question, the question is literally like they believe the economy is weak in democracy. So not that I believe a poll proves my point
100%.
or anything, but I do think if you look at the literature, by the way, academic literature certainly supports the idea that democracy is not good for economic stability, for economic improvements to people's ordinary lives. So, who knows? Maybe this Sudanese coup thing, maybe it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. And there's like case by case. I don't know if everywhere it's like that. Maybe some places.
Yeah,
and again, what is democracy and what type of democracy? How is it being implemented? In what way? To what extent? In what areas? And all this. But yeah, I can see people having those opinions. Like now, like you said, take those numbers with a grain of salt. But I can see people having those takes. And I mean, I'm guessing the economy in a lot of these countries is possibly worse than it was 10, 15 years ago. Now, maybe a lot of it is related to global reasons and, things that have nothing to do with democracy. That's the thing too.
Not Libya.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I think.
But no, I was just pointing out that, inflation is up everywhere. Economy situation of economy and COVID and all this has affected
I would like
a lot
to
of
point
countries globally, though.
Yeah, you're right, for sure. I would like to point out the only country that is less than 50% think that way. Morocco does probably have the best domestic economy. And if I'm not mistaken,
and they have
Morocco,
a king, no?
Yeah, exactly. Morocco is a monarchy. I was gonna put that out there. So just saying.
So they haven't experienced it yet. So no, I think of course I'm sure they have elections too. In some ways, that's the thing, though, right? In some levels.
To be fair, yes, of course, yeah. It's always a spectrum. Jordan has a king too, so it's not like So and Jordan is one of the countries.
What was it? What is it for Egypt? Do you have the number there for Egypt? They're regretting everything.
Egypt is not one of them.
That would have been
Libya,
I thought it was.
Iraq. Tunisia is surprising to me, which is almost 73%, it seems, or something. It's on a chart, so I can't tell exactly. But Tunisia I thought Tunisia would be a bit lower. but Tunisia is among the
But wait,
highest.
that's where
But
that's where the Arab Spring started, right? That's where the gentleman put himself on fire, right?
Yes.
So I mean,
but recently, their last few years, their government has been. I mean, it's becoming. I would say, and I know very little about Tunisia, but it's increasingly starting to resemble Lebanon and this type of countries. You know, like just ineffective legislature.
So I guess it's not surprising then that these 73% in Tunisia.
Yes,
and
but
based on our very limited understanding and this narrative that we're putting forward.
Tunisians have a higher mistrust or dislike of democracy, according to this, than Jordanians. And Jordan is Jordan is a really fucked up country. Constant.
No, but I'm saying because of the experience that Tunisia had with quote unquote democracy lately, that's why. Whereas Jordan didn't have any of these.
Yeah, you're right. Jordan is still fighting for. Yeah, you're right. No, good point.
I think so for narrative, but yeah, that was very interesting. And you see, you can look at stats and polls without freaking out. Guys, see, you've matured a lot. You just looked at them, used them as a point of conversation. It doesn't mean that they're the truth and everything. Because before, any time polls came up, you would just go on the same thing as you don't care about polls and polls are shit and all this. So congrats, you've come a long way.
You just reminded me. So I like to say that polls are shit. I was wrong about this. I am contradictory. I'm a hypocrite. I will commit haragiri as soon as I can. In the first possible opportunity.
Okay.
I apologize.
All right, let's go talk about the UK. You'll feel better. Let's go talk about the UK.
Right. Yeah, let's talk about something I like. So, wow, that they finally did it. They finally.
Why? I don't get it. This seems to me, if I was a Tory, we have a good thing going on. Or my theory, again, based on not knowing anything, so then I'll shut up and listen to you. My theory is maybe some of the Tories think that the Liberals are so weak that not only we can kick out Boris Johnson and get rid of him, Labour, sorry, that's how much I know about UK politics. They're thinking that Labour is so weak that we don't have to worry about them whatsoever, so we can kick out Boris Johnson and then still have Tories in power, have a new Tory prime minister. And this is actually the perfect time, although it seems like we can keep on going and perhaps winning elections. Maybe actually this is the perfect time to get rid of him just because Labour is so weak. That's the only thing that makes kind of sense to me from far. But then again, I don't know absolutely anything that's going on. So,
no, I definitely. Conservative Party seems to be the only remaining in the Anglosphere. It's the only remaining genuine party out there. So what I think, what actually has happened is that you can't make this shit up, by the way. You write this in a fiction and people are like, too much, man. This is way too much. But there was an MP called Chris Pincher. And guess what he got?
Oh yeah, he was going around what's it called? Pinching men.
Yes, he was groping. Yeah, exactly. It's just what the fuck? Like it's like being called Mr. E. This is ridiculous. Like God needs to work on his script writing skills. Anyways, but Mr. Pincher, and man, some of the oh my God, some of the things that were leaked, some of the quotes, and one guy was like, he started massaging my back and saying, if you do things for me, I can do things for you. And all I could think about was that this is a hound shop Harvey Weinstein. Like, just so shit. But anyway, Mr. Pincher was deputy whip, and as it turned out, Boris Johnson knew about allegations against him while telling a select committee or a committee or a parliament or whoever that no, there are no allegations against Mr. Pincher. Mr. Pincher hasn't pinched a fly in his life. But it turned out Mr. Pincher had pinched a lot of men in his life. And decorum. He's lying to the MPs. I mean, this is a perfect chance for them to get rid of him. This is not about them giving a shit about decorum
Of
or
course.
etiquette or anything like
So
that. It's all about the fact that, as you said, look, this current government, I think, it still has 2 or maybe 3 years to go, so they can call the election any time they want within these 3 years. So they're calculating that this Boris Johnson it's kind of like Thatcher, she becoming too big for her own party type thing. And this is a perfect chance for us to get rid of him and put somebody who's more company man, or at least from a new faction in. And so they finally managed to do it. He said he's gonna resign, and in autumn he's gonna go. But I would say, being Boris, being who he is, I wouldn't be still surprised if he comes out with something else up his sleeves by autumn. So we'll see.
Yeah, no, definitely. So, okay, so let me wrap my head around this. This does not necessarily have to do with Partygate. Now, I'm sure they piggybacked off that momentum, but they jumped off the Chris Pincher thing. So this is kind of what launched it. And then,
mostly lying to the parliament, misleading the parliament. That's a breach. That's like perjury, I suppose.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then like dozens of ministers decided to resign, right? And did he fired some of the main ones, or everybody resigned?
Oh no, it was beautiful. Mostly some of them resigned first. Then there were some that were gonna go privately talk to him. One of them, probably the most disgusting man in British politics, and I genuinely mean that, Michael Gove, a man who's frankly 80% fish, really, and 20% man, the most slippery piece of shit. Just oh my god, I hate Michael Gove so much. Michael Gove went to have a private talk with him to, I guess, urge him to come on, man. Michael Gove is nerdy posh. It's hard for me to do. Boris is so it's easy, but this is a nerdy posh man, this Michael Gove, and he believes politicians are hardworking for the people of Britain and all that, and he's got weird glasses. And he went to urge Boris Johnson to sort of like, maybe you should resign and stuff, otherwise there might be a vote of no confidence. And Boris Johnson, this is before he resigned, sacked him, which is awesome. I love that. I love that he just went, I should resign, you're fired. So or I think he may have said, I'm going to resign if you don't resign or something. And he said, okay, you're fired. And so, some of them are getting fired. But no, Rishi Sunak.
He resigned. Rishi Sunak resigned.
Okay. These guys resigned. Rishi Sunak is really looking to get for the top job. He's so empty, and he's so he's willing to do anyone's business.
Yeah. But I see. So, and I guess they couldn't do a vote of no confidence because they just did one, so you have to wait a year. Then they said they might change the rules to do it. Yes. But now there's no point in even doing it. So he already resigned.
Well, that was the whole thing. If he hadn't resigned, they say they would have changed the rules. That's what they're saying.
So now he resigned as the head of the party, but remains Prime Minister of the UK until the following election.
Yes, until the leadership election.
And continues to have all his powers, right? I guess he just might not be taken seriously in Parliament, or.
He's I mean, to be honest, he was like, politicians really don't have any. It's civil servants that run the thing.
Yeah.
So he's there still. But he's a character. So I wouldn't be surprised if he pulls out something.
I don't know why I'm so sympathetic towards him. Like, I'm sure he's as
kind
shitty and crap and all this, but towards Trump, I'm not that sympathetic. Towards him, I'm much more sympathetic. I don't know what it is. Like,
me too. I mean, I guess it's a weird sympathy. It's just I guess people, when somebody's so transparent about their about their motives, and they still Boris Johnson wasn't somebody who was like, oh, I am for women's rights, and
that
you can see, he, even when he was saying that, yes, I care about women's rights, he was almost like laughing as he was saying it. So it's almost like you can't blame that guy. But the rest, The motherfucking Labor front bench, Yvette Cooper now
Yeah.
coming. This is about oh my God, a prime minister who broke the rules, as opposed to Tony
Yeah.
Blair. The motherfucker had an affair with Rupert Murdoch, the guy, Rupert Murdoch's wife, the guy who bankrupted him. I mean, and he was a Catholic. Yeah,
Yeah. No,
Catholic my
I know.
ass. I mean, fuck off,
And
really fuck.
yeah. And
And,
maybe
and by the
because
way, Channel 4 did a great interview, did a great segment on this. They did a great interview with the conservatives, and they were like saying, "Are you worried now? This is gonna be something that later, jump on." And I said, "No, we are not worried at all, because this is just they have nothing.
yeah.
I mean, the conservative just contempt for label was beautiful. It was just like, no, they're, I mean, we are more worried about our own internal stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
They're
It
not
really
a real
seems like it.
threat. And then Channel 4 guy interviewed somebody, I think it was Yvette Cooper or some other Labor frontbencher, and it was like, well, now that Boris Johnson is gone, and his whole thing was he's this crazy man not being etiquette and all that. Do you feel like what else do you have? What is your response? And no, this is what about the cabinet ministers who stood by him? What about those people? No, we are a different party. We are different attitude towards law and order. Oh, go fuck yourself. They are done. Labour Party is done for. It's over.
Yeah, no, Labour Party are so weak there. So strategy wise, it completely makes sense. But and going back to Boris Johnson a bit, like, I know he's not competent at all, but the other ones are so incompetent as well. And he managed to get the Brexit thing, to like keep the flow moving, the show moving. And
he's very competent.
Exactly. In that sense, he's competent. And he managed to get the Brexit thing, fix it and get it over with. Now, some might say because he got a bad deal, that's how he managed to relatively wrap it up. But at least there was something that they were stuck with, whether it was thanks to him or it's just they agreed to shit your deal, or like it was just about time where they were going to reach some kind of agreement. It was under him that they managed to, get started with the whole Brexit thing. It's over now. Let's continue with our lives. It's under him that they managed to get it going. So I just thought there would be more like, that they would be more supportive of him, but in general, but.
You're giving slightly too much credit.
Yeah, I am probably giving. Yeah, definitely.
The labor, or any lack of any real opposition, I think, really helped the case as well. But I would say that, well, look, if he stays in power for longer, he's gonna increase his power base, and they're calculating we get rid of him now. Labor is not a problem. In 2 years, we have a prime minister that is less controversy ridden. And there is, I guess there's polling or whatever that shows that the Partygate and his behavior did negatively affect them. But on the competency issue, I would say that most voters that I've seen and I've talked to, they don't want politicians that are competent in their job. They want politicians that are representative, as in they always go to the grass. I'm talking about the left specifically. Jeremy Corbyn, highly specifically, Jeremy Corbyn was the fool who did not reform the Labour Party, was the fool who said, no, we should democratize the Labour Party. We should make it a bit more local. We should make it more grassroots instead of focusing on turning the NEC, the main council, left-leaning. So, when you create this atmosphere, competent politician is a politician who's a good showman. And Boris Johnson is a good showman. So in many ways, he's the most competent politician in the whole fucking Westminster. When you create an atmosphere that power is bad, politicians should be every other week they should stand in front of a standing committee. They shouldn't be paid more than this. I mean, what do you think you create? You create a class of losers who are trying to get as much money as they can and run away and write a book or some shit.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with, and that's what I meant by like the way I meant he's competent. Now, some people might not be happy with that, but It was a safe bet, though. I mean, yeah. I mean, for right now, I can see. I don't know how English people view Boris Johnson. I thought, yeah, like the majority, yeah, the whole move. Without knowing more, it seems both like a decent idea from the Tories' position to further, stabilize themselves, but could be
I would
risky.
say
But right
though,
now, the Labor is so shitty. But maybe Labor will get something going in a few years, and then you put someone who is so like, that British. I don't know. People get tired of that person too, and then it might become slightly closer. Like, how bad was the previous person, right? I mean,
Theresa May,
yeah.
yeah, she was awful.
Like,
But I
what
would
if they end up
say
with
that's
someone
the
like that
thing.
again?
That's the thing. If the faction of Theresa May, Cameron, Osborne, that type of sort of new we are liberal, but we're
Yeah.
conservative environment, huskies, let me hug a husky and all that. If they win, I think conservative party like Rishi Sunak type people, I don't think they have much of a chance. But
Yeah.
Nadeem Zawahi or that type of a one
Hmm.
nation conservative type, which I think Boris increasingly moved towards, not in a real sense, because compared to 40 years ago politicians, it's much more. I'm just talking about rhetoric. I'm not talking
Yeah.
about policy really. There is like the difference in policy is like 2 degrees,
Hmm.
if that. But I feel like if they go with somebody like Nadeem Zawahi or even Priti Patel, somebody, I'm trying to think, somebody more like that instead of Rishi Sunak or Graham Chaps or Graham Chaps is just, I mean, that's like, I can't believe somebody who used to write business self-help books
Hmm.
under a pseudonym is a chairman of the Conservative Party. It's like, I mean, just shows political degeneration. So yeah, my guess is right now the Rishi Sunak gang are the stronger one and are pushing, but I my if they I think they have a better chance with somebody like one nation
Hmm.
conservative, sort of I can speak the language of people type.
I see. Yeah, I feel you. Okay, so without knowing too much, my analysis wasn't too far away from yours.
Oh no,
But
no,
okay, good stuff. Anything else here?
no, it's just, yeah, that's about it I think for, okay, but hopefully more fun to come.
All right, Sam. So let's move on to Iran. What's happening there?
So in on 5th of July, a couple of days ago, net price. As we know and as we discussed, the Qatar discussion, the Doha discussions fell through and nothing significant came off of it. And then net price, the spokesperson for the State Department in the U.S. Was asked about this, and he said that during the recent weeks and months, Iran has brought up issues and demands that are not part of the original deal, and they go outside the bounds of our discussion and such. And then Iranian side responded yesterday, I think 6th of July, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, 6th of July. Iran responded by saying that the foreign minister, in a what call it, in a two people press conference with the Doha emir or somebody, he said that we didn't ask for, we didn't have unreasonable, or we didn't bring up issues that related. What we asked for was a guarantee mechanism or a guarantee. So it seems that in a way American side is not lying, but at the same time, I mean, everybody is a judge for themselves, so everybody can judge for themselves. But for the revival of the deal, in my view, as a Iranian, I would imagine a guarantee of action would be a minimum at this point, considering that the US was the one who left the deal and is seeking to revive the deal. Iran is seeking to revive the deal too, no doubt, but they were the one that left.
Yeah.
So it feels like America net price is not technically lying by saying that they're bringing up issues which was not in the original deal.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, there was no guarantee of
Yeah, but
not
I mean,
pulling
you know,
out in the
that was like a
deal.
decade ago. Things
that
changed.
was that was a decade ago. At the same time, though, I think a couple of weeks ago, I talked about how Robert Mueller had a discussion with Senate, and then said that the ball is in the court, the ball isn't on Congress's court. And I think again, I keep reverting back to my original thing that I don't think Americans want this to happen that much, or it's not like even maybe like, and I can't see why they would want to be honest. I don't see any benefits for America for bringing Iran back to the economic situation. What's going to happen? Iranian people are going to have a slightly better life and then don't feel as bad about their government as they do now.
I mean, is the
Why
only
would
benefit
America do
for
that?
them to like to truly stop the objective of Iran developing a nuclear weapon? Was that like that's like the only benefit? That's like the main benefit for Americans, right? That I mean,
I
Iran
think the
doesn't
long
become a
term.
nuclear power.
No, I think the real benefit is to like short term is to sell weapons to Arab states. That's the
No,
have
but
a
if they do
boogeyman.
make a deal, like what would be in it for the Americans? I mean, one thing would be that Iran wouldn't become a nuclear power, right? I'm assuming that's something they don't want.
Yes, for a while. Yeah, I mean, if you mean what if they make the deal, what is the positive
Like,
effects for the U.S.
what's in it for the Americans to make a deal? What's in it for the American government
for
and elites? And
for elites? Nothing. For if they were representative of American, let's say people, you could argue
no, yeah, people put aside.
military tensions would be reduced.
Yeah.
Potentially there could be positive economic cooperation between, my dad used to work with the US, right? So potentially there could be a economic development. But for the elite at this point, I can't see any reason why it would be. Like, you could argue some would, Iran and Venezuela being brought back to the oil market might have an effect on the prices. I think that would be marginal at best, but I don't know.
And the price, I mean, Iran and Venezuela have been cut off from the oil market for way longer than this price hike goes, right? They've been cut off in different levels for
and
multiple
America
years,
was
for
never
5 years, for 10 years, right?
And since the revolution, America was never a customer of Iranian oil. So,
and Venezuela, they've tried to cut that as much as possible, whether them or it going to
I'm
other
sure
countries.
there will be some effects, more so that I think Saudis can add 100,000 barrels. Iranians probably can add 1 million or so. But still, it doesn't like just because they've been cut off suddenly, they can push that into the market. But I don't know. I mean, we see the studies that tell us that gas prices are up because of price gouging, or because corporation wants them up, or whatever it is. So I mean, again, I don't know. I really, I mean, I can't see any benefit to American government for.
Yeah, I guess just not them becoming a nuclear. I mean, like, that would be bad, right? Would that be bad? Would that be bad for the for America and the government if Iran had a nuclear power? Like, in theory, if Iran had a nuclear weapon, in theory, at least it's bad, right? That's why I'm not pushing on it too much, because it isn't. In theory, once you have a nuclear weapon, you can't push a country around much. But I mean,
not really.
Pakistan. Yeah, I said in theory.
I know. But I'm saying it. Not even. I don't think that theory even flies anymore. Nobody believes that theory anymore. It's just this whole. And I do think in the long term, this is not me talking. This is Bernard Lewis, a famous conservative historian. I don't know conservative, but famous historian. I think the long-term plan is to balkanize Iran, just like they did with Soviet Union, just like what they did with Yugoslavia. So that's the long-term plan for the US. So, and the more economic deprivation, the better. I mean, not that our own government, by the way, is helping. Corruption and all that is rampant without the help of US. We are We don't need help for corruption.
Yeah.
But if the help comes, that's good too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's the long-term strategic plan. But so their main goals is to sell weapons as much as they can, and hopefully to balkanize Iran so they can sell more weapons.
So which that is more easily done if you don't get into a nuclear deal. As I mean, that can be done whether you have a deal or not. So
exactly, and right now, because if you have the deal, then Iran has certain channels to monetary funds open up. The only advantage for US, you could argue, is the presence of international organization, which would increase the surveillance that US and other countries have over Iranian facilities. So that's one thing. Yeah, that's one thing. But I think the positives of cutting off Iran from SWIFT and all that is just so much more, for America. It's just Iran is not like Russia. It's not like a breadbasket or anything. Who gives a shit?
Yeah. And I mean, and going back to the original part of the actual news story, the Iranians, wanting some kind of guarantee and stuff. I mean, in one way, it's so easy to understand. Like you said, not only was it the Americans that pulled out of the deal, not the Iranian. The second thing is now we're halfway through Biden's deal. It's like, it's kind of like making a deal with a business that's going to be taken over by another business in like 3 months. You're like, okay, well, we'll wait until the takeover is over, or can you put something in paper that the new owners will not back out of this deal, or throw it aside or whatever.
Us. Yeah, literally. Yeah, I mean, again.
So they're kind of in that situation too with Congress. They're like Biden doesn't even seem to be able to get someone on phone in Congress or Senate.
But I would add that just in terms of just giving a bit of a view of what's going on in the country, though, overwhelming majority of people, and I would say overwhelming majority of people on the left, are saying that Iran should give more concessions just to make the deal happen, because the economic pain is very, very high. So majority of people don't agree with me, maybe because majority of people are not like I have a full stomach, thankfully. So I don't want to because a significant number of Iranian people are like, it's not worth dying of hunger because maybe our security preserved, and maybe they have a point. Maybe government should make concessions now and be capable of keeping the country. Like, it's not very good that the only way your country can keep itself secure and keep itself from in being embroiled into a conflict is by blocking points of contact. But that seems to be their own. It shows weakness. It shows weakness, really.
And in the US, we talk about the impact of inflation everywhere in the world, but in Iran, it's there as well, and it's I imagine far worse the way that prices go up and double suddenly some things and things like that. So exactly, like, people who are worried about their day-to-day thing, they think, hey, their day-to-day lives, they're like, hey, maybe this deal will bring some relief at least for a little bit, and then we'll take it from there. We'll see what happens. So people are in different positions when they think about how something could help them out or not.
Yeah, exactly. So I just don't want to be a misrepresenting the judge, because my sentiment has never been in line with any group, I think. So
I think our viewers are aware of that.
Yeah, okay, good. Because I hate it too. If anybody, Iranians are very upset about, because some people on the left are like, Iranians, they are now saying that we are willing to, so like, that's never a real sentiment. Do not ever believe the sentiment that now we are willing to suffer for prosperity of our children, blah blah blah. That's just not true. That's a movie thing. That's a book thing. That's not
I haven't lived in Iran for a long time, but
not
whenever
Iran,
I did, in general, okay,
but
I never got that sentiment or that kind of
I've only seen it in soap operas, to be honest. Really, but that's been my experience.
Okay, all right, good stuff. Anything else, or should we wrap this up?
No, been a quiet week except last night when Johnson got the coup. It's been quite relatively was. I think it was because of 4th of July, which we had no idea was
Yeah.
yeah. And I must say, as somebody who's very pro-British, I regard 4th of July as a very negative day. Very negative day. Those goddamn rebels. Goddamn rebels.
Okay, well, on that note, please leave your comments, question, criticism down below. If not, please like and subscribe. I'll see you in our next video. Thank you.